Good morning, everybody. This is Roger Thunderhands. I'm doing a video today and I haven't done a video on this in a while because I've just been watching stuff. I'm kind of like a watcher. I like to watch events. And I've been surfing the internet a lot and looking for different videos on what's happening with this incursion into the vicinity of our planet by unidentified flying objects, or you can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it fallen angels, you can call it aliens, you can call it UFOs, you can call it UAPs, you can call it orbs. But the fact remains that there are sightings and events around the planet. We'll call them anomalous, or we'll call them supernatural, or we'll call them whatever you want to call them. My take as a wisdom keeper and an indigenous person is that this is the Star Nation coming in for a landing, or at least coming into the close vicinity of the planet. Why are they doing this? I'll get to that later. But first of all, just to show you that I'm not totally out where the buses don't run, I'm going to play some clips that I found recently within the last week on the internet about what's going on here. And I'll start off with a clip by from somebody that everybody knows, Tucker Carlson, interviewing this guy. Now, I don't know who this guy is because this is just kind of like a clip, and then I tried to find the original. But this is definitely a real clip. So, this is Tucker Carlson interviewing this guy about what's going on, the very things that I'm talking about right now. So let's let's look at it and see what's going on here. Let's look at this video, this YouTube video, and I'll see if I can zoom in on this. Maybe, yeah, this is probably good enough. Let me start it here.
The relationship with nuclear is one of the most interesting parts of this because these UAPs, they show up around nuclear sites. I used to work on nuclear a lot, and there would be these drones, these unidentified uh, they seem like objects, but unidentified phenomenon around nuclear power sites. The nuclear people working at them were often very concerned around public perception of danger, and so they often didn't talk about them. But they've certainly been over Diablo Canyon nuclear plant in California. But when the drones happened in New Jersey, well, we caught them in an open lie. I mean, they just said John Kirby at one point said something like they had evaluated like 3,000 cases of drone sightings in like 48 hours, which is like absurd. There's no possibility they did it. And then we started looking, a set of people started looking, and you discover that in fact there's been these drone swarms around U.S. military bases. I mean, not a couple either. I mean, I think it was somewhere around 2 or 3 dozen military bases, and there's a lot of evidence that those drones are circling around those moments when there's nuclear weapons in the area. So, if it's, I'm skeptical that it's Chinese and Russian because the drones are engaged in behaviors that I think are very difficult for anybody to do. But I mean, if these objects are behaving in ways that do appear to be using a different kind of propulsion or anti gravity, I mean, I'm very skeptical that that's ours in the sense that it takes a lot. It took a huge effort to create the Manhattan Project and to create nuclear weapons. It was a massive, massive endeavor. And so to somehow easily get or to be able to easily hide reverse engineering, I don't know how you do that. I'm really skeptical that we have it, but it's absurd that we have to just sit around and speculate about it. Like, Like we need there's basically no transparency. Instead, we have a DoD organization called Arrow, which, as far as I can tell, is part of a deception operation consistent with the CIA's recommendations to the Robertson panel in the 1950s, that the main thing the U.S. government should do is supposedly debunk the UFOs and to ridicule the people that see them and research them, and worse. There's a lot of threats made to people in this field. I personally find it one of the scariest issues. Um, Trans and UAPs are the two, paradoxically, the scariest issues. And because it just seems like a lot of people really don't want us to know what's going on with it. And President Trump made noises like he was going to reveal something, and Tulsi Gabbard just made some noises that she wanted to get to the bottom of it. But otherwise, Tucker, they just seem like it seems like they wanted Jeffrey Epstein, the UAP files.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. And if you're wondering if there's a spiritual component to the whole thing, if it's about technology and I don't know, Martians,
Right.
Probably not going to be this kind of response to it. I mean, this just glows with intensity. Again, it's the Pentagon, so yeah, there's a spiritual component to it, I would say.
Okay, so there's that recording, and I started off with this because a lot of people recognize Tucker Carlson, and a lot of people don't have the chance to cruise around the internet and look at the different news stations around the world. And there seems to be a big blackout in this country about this stuff. So take it for what it's worth. But I'm going to play another video here from a news station, I believe it's in France, about the recent sightings this week, the recent incursions this week in Europe and Denmark and in Germany and those areas. So take a look at this.
Interior Minister said Saturday that it has noticed an increased presence of drones over parts of the country in recent days. Describing the threat level as high, the minister said that Berlin will be adopting measures to protect itself in response. Take a listen to him earlier.
We note a permanent hybrid threat. It's about sabotage and espionage. Everyone could hear in the past few days that there has been an increased use of drones over parts of Germany. Our neighbouring countries are also reporting an increase in drones with varying degrees of effectiveness. We're witnessing an armament race, an arms race between drone threats and drone defence. We must prepare ourselves for this, a race that we must not lose. And that is why we need to upgrade our technology.
Well, that announcement from the German Interior Minister came just hours after Denmark made a similar claim. The Nordic country's defense ministry saying that drones were observed at several of its facilities overnight on Friday, following a series of sightings across the country earlier this week. For more on this, France 24's international affairs editor Philip Turl joins me now on set. Hi, Philip. So as for the Danish case then goes, still no news on who might be responsible.
No response from anybody to say they were responsible either for the attacks in Germany, which took place in the Schleswig-Holstein state, which is pretty close to the border with Denmark, or also in Denmark, where we've seen fresh attacks overnight in several areas, notably at the Skryb Air Base, the Jutland Dragoon Regiment, and also, more importantly, that hasn't been confirmed by the Danish authorities, but by local media, that there was a sighting of drones at the Karup Air Base, which is situated in the centre of the country. This is the main air base in Denmark, the biggest military air base, and that's why the authorities are being a bit tight-lipped about it, but the reports from local authorities say that they were drones both inside and outside of that air base. But still, no claim of responsibility from anybody for these drone attacks. That hasn't stopped the authorities in both Germany, as we've just been hearing, and also in Denmark, from pointing the finger indirectly at the Russians. The Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, said Denmark had been a victim of hybrid attacks, which he said could then multiply. But she said the one main country that poses a threat to Europe's security is, of course, Russia. And Denmark's Justice Minister has said the aim of these incursions was basically to spread fear, to create division, and to frighten people as to the safety of taking aeroplanes and moving around the country. So I think the main aim here of whoever is responsible for this is to see just how far they can go, what the retaliation would be, and also probably to try to recuperate some kind of information. Now, the finger is being pointed fairly squarely at Russia, Erin, because there are 67 Russian ships based in the Baltic Sea. That's just across the water from Scandinavia, notably Denmark and Sweden.
Okay, so I got to stop the video right there because this is the nonsense that they've been spewing out for probably the last 6 months. Okay, so first of all, let's put things into perspective here. They go on record as saying that they have no idea what these things are or where they come from. That's interesting, right? No idea. And then what's really interesting is in the next breath, they say, this is Russia, or this could be Russia, or they got ships here and they got ships there, and it's the Russians. I mean, I've heard that tune so many times. It's the Russians on everything. The Russians do everything. Matter of fact, why would it be the Russians? If it was Russia, why wouldn't they just shoot these things down? This is in the EU, people. And it's also in the United States. This also went down in New Jersey in November of last year, around November. Just swarms coming in over arsenals and military bases and shutting down airports and coming in over other military installations and just staying there, right? So you're going to tell me, that the supposed strongest nations on earth, the EU and the United States and all these different nations that are having these quote-unquote drones, these aren't drones, people. They will drone on and on and on, no pun intended, about drones. These are not drones. And I said that from day one. I said, this is the Star Nation. And again, you can label that whatever you want, but if you go back in history and Hopi prophecy and in Hopi oral traditions and stories, and you go back in any Native American tribe or tribal stories or mythology or whatever you want to call it, this is mentioned over and over and over again. In fact, all the tribes of North America are called the Star Nation. The Star Nation, because they all believe in that connection with the stars. Now, I also said in previous videos that they seem to hover around, they seem to come down at different periods when we're getting kind of critical or on the edge of nuclear war. Now, when that guy on Tucker was talking about these appearances, okay, over nuclear bases, this is fact, okay, and it's happened several times. Nuclear missiles and missile silos have been deactivated from these orbs or these appearances that come in at critical times, like when we're on the verge of having a world war, or let's say in the fall of the Soviet Union or things like that, when we're the Cuba missile crisis, all these different things, all of a sudden these orbs appear and they send a message, okay? And this stuff is not really that hidden, although the government tries to hide it, but there's been UFO and UAP research going back before the 50s, right? The 50s is really when we started seeing, right after World War II, we started seeing more of these things, and even during World War II, all right? So let's lay it out here, and I talked about this before at length, but let's lay it out here in black and white. How many things could it be? Well, 3. I'll say 3 right now. I'll go with 3. It could be the government, and you heard in that video, I don't know if I played that part, but them talking about reverse engineering off of UFOs and having the pilots of the craft. This is a claim by whistleblowers that they've seen pilots of the craft and UFOs, and the government has reverse engineered. Well, if that's the case, and I'm in an aviation kind of a authority on aviation. I am a fully rated pilot. I've said that before. Been following this stuff for years, advances in aviation technology and that type of thing. If it is, if this somehow can be believed, but from this latest round of whistleblowers that are coming forward, that there is reverse engineering, then number one, it would be reverse engineered aircraft, all right, advanced, anti-gravitational, whatever. That could be one thing. And then the other thing would be some higher intelligence from another galaxy or another planet. Incidentally, while we're talking about other galaxies and star systems and things like that, we are currently, and I'll see if I can pull up a video on this, we are currently experiencing an incursion, not only by these, like say around the vicinity of the Earth, aircraft or UFOs or UAPs, we're not only experiencing that, but we are experiencing a phenomena that has come in, is intergalactic and has entered our atmosphere, or our solar system, I should say, our solar system. And this is the much talked about, and I haven't talked about this at all. I've just been watching this and I'm like, I might have mentioned it once, but once or twice in comments, but you gotta something, you can't even name what it is. It's not a comet. The mainstream media likes to say things like, this is a comet. But you got a guy, Avi Loeb, that is the head guy at, I think it's Harvard. And I'm going to see if I can pull up a clip real quick. And hold on, and let me see if I can find one with him talking about this new incursion by some, what do you call it, a star or a comet, and the unusual characteristics of this thing, because it doesn't have a tail, but it does have a light coming out of the front of it. It's projecting some kind of tail, where you wouldn't call it a tail if it's in the front. You would call it like headlights or whatever. That's the characteristics of this thing, and it's maneuvering around. It's going around the back of the sun and is going to appear here again. But it's actually here right now. I don't know, what's today? Today is the 28th. Okay, so tomorrow this thing is supposed to be at critical mass or real close or whatever you want to say. So let me pause here and see if I can find this professor from Harvard that I'm talking about here. Instead of me just flapping my jaws, you'll hear it from him himself. So hold on. Yeah, so I did find it, people. Here you go. This guy has been on almost every channel you can imagine on YouTube. So this is what he's saying on this particular channel in regards to this object that's coming in.
If it's technological, it might maneuver when it comes close to the sun. That's the point along the path where you get the most benefit from the gravitational assist of the sun. That's where when we launch a spacecraft that we want to boost in speed, we time the boosts when the object is closest to the sun. And so if 3i Atlas is technological, there might be a maneuver. And in that case, of course, the stock market will crash if that happens. But that will be only in case it's technological. And in addition, you can imagine it releasing mini probes that are sent to the various planets. It's moving opposite to the motion of the planets, and that has the benefit that you don't have to chase the planets like Mars or the Earth, and you can just send the mini probes from a mothership that would reach those planets. And I told the research team of the Galileo project that I'm leading to look in the months ahead whether there is any unusual activity near Earth. We have 3 observatories, one in Massachusetts, another one in Pennsylvania, and a third one in Nevada, where we are monitoring the entire sky at all times. And if there is anything released by 3i Atlas, we might be able to see it.
So that is Avi Loeb that I was talking about. And again, this guy's all over every channel that you can imagine, which kind of makes you wonder what's going on. Is this guy like, is he a plant from the CIA to further some type of mass panic or whatever? But I've watched the guy extensively looking for signs of that kind of thing. And this guy he is Jewish, but he was raised on a farm in Israel and grew up, on a farm, got interested in physics, and seems pretty straightforward, seems like a pretty nice guy. And he's also said that he's been ostracized from the scientific community, in a sense, even though he is, a professor. He's been ostracized because he's talking about this stuff in a different way. He's pointing out characteristics about this thing that's coming in, 3i Atlas. A celestial body, that's the word I was looking for earlier on. A celestial body, coming in. Now you've had other appearances too that have been appearing as well, coming in comets, new comets coming in conjunction with this 3i Atlas that's coming in and going around the sun. Well, if that wasn't enough, you got all these new comets coming in all at once, out of nowhere. And then let's see. I'm trying to think. I did see a video in somewhere in I don't know if it was North America or some state where people just saw this raining down of it. I mean, people say, "Oh, that's space debris," or "That's something breaking up out there," but this thing went right across the sky. I don't really have time to search for this right now, but you can trust me. I try to go to reliable sources to get this stuff because there's so much disinfo out there. It's incredible. You don't really know the truth of the matter, even if you think you do. We're kind of living in a imposed virtual reality. or at the very least, we're going through a dimensional shift right now, a time warp of sorts. But it's not like a time warp in the future or back. It's time warp into another dimensional reality. That's what's happening right now. We're kind of half in, half out. People are flipping out, obviously, everywhere. There's all kinds of weird shit happening. I mean, it's incredible, really. I mean, it's like you want to pinch yourself and go, am I having a dream? Am I in the Twilight Zone? Am I in the outer limits? So I'm just putting this all together, and I can't tell you. I've been talking to my son and other people that come into my sphere of influence, friends or whatever, buddies, and I talked to some people about this stuff, and they go, "What? Like, did you hear about them shutting down the air bases in Denmark? Three major air bases, military. What? No, I didn't hear about that. What's that? you know." So if you think people are up on this stuff, they're not. They're not up on this at all. They're involved in life, and they're involved in struggle, and they're involved in their own personal, passionate drama or relationships or whatever, which is okay, I guess. But then again, it might not be if you can't keep on top of a situation that is happening right in front of your very eyes. And that's another thing I wonder about too. Why is it that some people are seeing this stuff and other people aren't? Why is it that some people are like tuned in to like, wow, what's going on right now? There's all kinds of weird shit happening. And other people are like completely fucking clueless. It's like, I gotta tell them, I mean, friends, relatives, and whatnot. I got to tell them, and then I'm looked at like I'm crazy, like I'm you know a crazy man. I told somebody the other day I am crazy. All shamans are crazy, and they've always been labeled crazy. But I'd rather be crazy, like that old Western song. I'd rather be crazy than insane, because it's crazy like a fox, baby. You get that? And insanity is insanity. It's, what's that definition again? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result than the one you got before, and you don't, and you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. What are we seeing in the world right now? I mean, I've said it before, we're seeing tape loops, baby. And they're in high volume. They're in high volume. Tape loop here, tape loop there, tape loop over there. Woom 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 woom, over and over and over and over again. War, peace talks. Oh, there ain't no peace talks. We're gonna have peace talks. Oh no, we blew up the guys that were gonna have the peace talks. And Iran, we're gonna go to war with Iran, and we bombed Iran. No, we didn't bomb Iran. Actually, we faked the bombing in Iran, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on with the deception. And I mean, I could feel myself getting fired up right now. Maybe that's why I have my cami hat on today. I want to go out and kick some ass and take some fucking names. The warrior side of me is just like, stop. Stop. I got angry. I woke up angry yesterday, mad as hell. And I've learned to, when that happens to me, and it does, I'm venting. It's so the part of me, the warrior side, is coming out and getting strong and getting Apache and venting and like, enough. And that's the point that I think people should get to occasionally, is Really? How long are we going to take this shit? Mass deception, lies. If you really want to get down to the truth of the matter, let's get kind of spiritual here. Everything that we've been taught is a lie. If you really want to get, according to, let's say, original consciousness or original source, or what you were when you were in the womb, the embryonic, the spirit, the soul that came into that womb and was born into this world was clear. It was clear. It was like a clear channel, and like a radio station, except there was no radio station yet. It was a clear channel ready for a frequency, is the best way I can put it. That's what people are. There was a clear channel and it's ready for a frequency. And that frequency comes in the form of a spirit, or a soul comes down into that frequency and then is born into this life. And it's clear. Hasn't been programmed yet. You could liken it to the doing programming software or whatever. You're the software and then you get programmed or whatever. And this programming that goes on is really not you. It's other people. Other people come into your life that your parents or schools and institutions and governments and traditions and cultures and all that good shit is supposedly existing or is existing when you come into this frequency. And that's where you get your information. That's where you get your information. And if that information is corrupted or isn't on the highest level, or let's say a spiritual level or a heart level, or just a oneness with the universe and the planet and that type of level, if it's not coming from that source or that mindset or that view. In other words, if it's not just completely natural, it's adulterated. It's adulterated, and the adulteration is in the details, and the details is the sins of the fathers are visited upon the sons. So it says in some scripture in the Bible. That might be true, because everything that you think of as you isn't you. It's not really you, all right? There is no you. It's an imagination. It's and when you get into Hindu meditation and Tantra and the hijinks of the woo-woo land or the shaman's land or the medicine man's land or the in that realm, the star brothers realm, that's where you need to be. That's where you need to be. So I know I get off on tangents here. I get inspired to say things. I channel. I just, okay, I'm talking and all of a sudden something will say this. But I can come full circle and see the issue that I was originally talking about anger and venting. You have to vent. You have to release. You have to let it go. And sometimes what's letting it go again is who is letting it go. So try to come from more of like a watcher type attitude in your life. A watcher. You're watching yourself go through the motions. Go to the kitchen, go out on the porch, you go do a video, you do this, you do that. But there's always kind of like a higher consciousness, or let's say a non-judgmental consciousness and awareness. working there. What do you call that? Well, some people call it Christ consciousness. Some people, and I call it that sometimes, or immaculate consciousness, or above it all, even. You know, if you want to come down to a more mundane level, just above it all, like, okay, just watching it, just a movie, not attached to it, have no emotions about it, could care less about it, but even the watcher doesn't go, I could care less about it, because that would mean that it cared, all right? If you get that drift. So that consciousness is hard to explain, but when you get there, when you stand in awareness, then you look at this stuff that's going on, and it's not so hard to figure out. It's an alternate reality, as spoken of by shamans and medicine men and Fool's Crow and Castaneda, and alternate realities and alternate dimensions and trance states and untrance states. Actually, everything is a trance state if you really want to get down. We're all in a trance. It's like I said about the entity that comes into the womb becomes in a trance state when it gets into this surrounding mayhem that it comes into and surround. So everything really, and I talk on and on, but I'm boiling it all down here, is a lie. Everything is a lie. And if you go back in this video, you'll see where I segued into this. You'll see where I segued in, okay, from what I was talking about before. But it all fits: the UFOs, the UAPs, the convergence or emergence around the Earth, is all coming from this collective consciousness that has all been brainwashed. So when you do a deep dive into this, you can only come to certain conclusions in regards to what's going on around the phenomena around the Earth. It's spiritual, it's another dimension. You could put names on it all day long, drones and this and that, and we're going through this. But you know what's really bizarre is you'll go to a geopolitical channel and talking about all the geopolitics and everything around the world, and not one time do they mention what's going on with the drone thing. Yet there's drones in war, and they're talking all about the drones being launched in war and over Russia and Ukraine and Middle East and all this stuff. There's drones going on, but they won't talk about the drone that might indicate that it's a UFO or that it shuts down military bases. And I'm like, wait a minute, aren't you talking about military things here and wars and things of that nature? Yet you're not checking out. Am I like watching two different channels, or am I in two different realities? That's the hard one to figure. There's a split there, see. So that might be a clue, you know, now that I'm even talking about this now, I'm talking about the split. Okay, there's a split. It's almost like a split reality. I guess that would fit in with the dimensional thing, wouldn't it? Because it would be transitional. And yeah, okay. I could live with that, maybe, yeah. Couldn't you? So I make these videos to just call attention to things. Actually, I do it for fun now more than ever. I'm not making any money. So I have occasionally, sometimes something will come out of the blue and it just boom, and it'll help me along on my way, on my journey here into the unknown. But anyway, I guess I'll leave it there today. Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it. So Until I see you next time, think of the things I say and, I don't know, try to put it all together. It's hard when you're enlightened and on different levels all the time and tuning into other realms, let's say, to even come on and do a video. So, hell, consider it a rare anomalous occurrence.